Good morning. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started on solving quadratic equations. We're going to get some IXL practice in today. We're going to do something a little bit different than we did last time. Instead of doing a group jam, I assigned you guys a quiz. Oh, it's a quiz. They called it a quiz. All right, so I made an assignment. We're all going to work together on it. But if you would rather do it by yourself, you're more than welcome to go through and do it by yourself. I won't stop you. All right. But first, what I would really like everyone to do is take a moment and let's answer the warm up. Good morning, Tatiana. We'll just mute that. That's okay. All right, we got some people saying C so far. You can select all that apply, so you don't just need to pick C. This is multiple answers. So if it can have C, can it have 0? Can it have 1? Can it have 3? How many can it have? Let's take the next 30 seconds and come to a conclusion. And we got 11 people who've answered and 16 people who haven't put in an answer. Let's go ahead and get an answer in, guys. Oh, I have company. Alrighty, guys. So if you said the answer was A, B, and C, congratulations. The answers are A, B, and C, but not D. And again, that is because of the degree of a quadratic function. Right? Because the exponent is 2, that is the max number of solutions we can have. All right? And let's look at this as a picture. And no real solutions, 1 solution, and 2 solutions. So we're going to be working in IXL today. We're going to graph quadratic equations and use that to solve the quadratic equations so we can find the solutions to the quadratic equation. Yay! On STAR, all right, we have a couple of different ways that quadratic equations are often tested. We have factoring, the quadratic formula, completing the square, taking square roots, and the ones in green, which are the ones that we're going to work on most in this class, are interpreting graphs and graphing quadratic equations. Okay. For the solutions, these are our x-intercepts. We can think of them as our, our roxes. Roots, zeros, x-intercepts, and solutions. How are we going to do it in Desmos? I know this seems like we're just doing a quick review, and we are, because we're going to take some time to work in IXL. Right? If needed, rewrite the equation on one side of the equal sign. That's cool, Riley. Stay warm. On number 2, we're going to graph the equation in Desmos, and then the x-intercepts are going to be the solutions. Right? So if we look here, this is what it could look like. In our graphs. All right, so we're going to be doing what is called the 121 IXL practice quiz. I think that's what I called it. 121 practice solving quadratics. So what you're going to do is you are going to go into your Canvas and go to your resources. Click on class link. Go to IXL. And when you get to IXL, in April, Elijah, the STAR tests are in April. You'll have under from your teacher, and it'll be the first thing right here, okay? Or something very close. Quiz 121, practice solving quadratics. That's what we're going to work on today together in class. If you wish to work by yourself, that is acceptable. You are allowed to do that. However, if you want to make your life a little bit simpler, I would advise working with us as a class. Welcome back. So let's go ahead and get signed into IXL. And it might not show you one activity until we start working, so I'm not going to stress too much. But I'm going to give everybody about, let's get about another minute and a half. And then we'll get started on the IXL practice. All right. So on number 1, we get negative 8a times 4a plus 4. And there are again, there's multiple strategies that we can do for this. The first one we're going to do, again, we're going to keep practicing with our graphing practice, and then I'm also going to show you how to solve it with what is called the zero product property, okay? So for graphing, let's go ahead and make sure we change all of our variables to x. And it's just because that looks better when it's graphing, when you're graphing to solve, okay? So we put negative 8x, open parentheses, 4x plus 4. Okay. We click on the graph to get the intersections, and we get 0 and negative 1. Okay, so we're going to put 0 and negative 1. Does everyone understand how we got that? Yep, perfect, Riley. Exactly. I wasn't looking down at that moment. And I don't think it matters which one you put where, but we'll find out. If you were going to do this, while I'm making sure that everyone has a chance to put this into IXL, I want to show you what it would mean to do the zero product property. Okay, so if you've watched any of the lessons that they've done for you, the zero product property states that in order for something to equal 0, one of its factors must be 0. Okay, so anything times 0 is equal to 0. So if you're trying to make something equal 0, you have to have a factor equal to 0. So therefore, either negative 8a is 0, in which case a is 0, or 4a plus 4 equals 0. So if we were to solve these algebraically by putting both halves of the equation, or that expression, equal to 0, we divide both sides by negative 8, we get a equals 0. Subtract 4 from both sides. Over here, we get 4a equals negative 4. Once you divide by 4, you would get a equals negative 1. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right. So again, what we're going to do is change everything to x's in order to graph. Or set both sections equal to 0. Okay. Again, I'm going to put it on the graph. check out the intersections of 0 and 5, just like Riley said. Right? Now, on the next problem, I'm going to give you guys about a minute to work it out on your own. Don't put the answer in chat until the timer goes off. When the timer goes off, you can hit enter on your answer. All right? But we're going to give everybody about a minute to see what they can come up with for this problem. All right? So take about a minute to, let's say, yeah, this one should be about a minute. When the timer goes off, you can hit enter on your answers. Can you have Desmos link? Yes. I do recommend booklet marking that if you do not have it bookmarked already. It's always a good idea. Remember, this is the calculator you're allowed to use on STAR. All right, if you have an answer, you may hit enter. All right. So our answers are 0 and -7. Oh, thank you, Riley. Sorry, I didn't mean to mute myself. I didn't mean to be muted. The answers to that one were 0 and -7. All right. Again, I'm gonna give you a minute. You can put your answers in chat. As soon as the timer goes off, if G times G minus 4 equals 0, what is G? If G times G minus 4 is equal to 0, what is the value of G? You have 30 seconds more. Ten seconds, everyone. If you have an answer, make sure you type it in chat. And in 3, 2, 1, hit enter. All right, we get 0 and 4. Perfect. Again, we can do this by graphing it. Okay. And then checking our graph for the points of 4, 0, and 0. Or we can do the zero product property. Again, G equals 0, easy enough. And then G minus 4 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. And G is equal to 4. Okay, now this is in factored form, all right? But the same rules apply. You can simply change to x plus 1, x plus 7, or you can do the zero product property. I'm going to give you a minute to work on this one. Again, when the timer goes off, you can put the answers in the chat. Thirty seconds. If you have an answer ready, make sure it's in the chat so you can hit enter in 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got one answer we do seem to agree on is we got -7 and we have -1. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to type them out. And we can do the factored form. X plus 1 times x plus 7. And that gives us -1 and -7. Cool, cool, cool. Good job. And if you're doing it with the zero product property, you can just go ahead and do this. The equals -1. Alrighty, next question. All right, so this one is not in standard form. The very first thing we need to do on this one is make sure we put it in standard form if we're going to graph it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I want to move the 71 over. So I get 4s squared plus 55 equals 71. How do I move that 4s or the 71 over? If I want this to equal 0, how do I get that 71 to move to the other side? Subtract, perfect. 4s squared. Oh, I did this earlier and I still don't remember what it was. -16. All right, so 16. So 4s minus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, we can graph it. All right, so again, we can just type in 4x squared minus 16. I did 55 minus 71, like what we got here, 55 minus 71. And I got -16 right here. That's where I got the 16. Okay, and then again, if we look at the graph, we have the solutions at 2 and -2. Okay, now, if it was being kind to us, as long as you got it right. And there's a lot of ways to get this one right. Would you like to see another strategy? Yeah, no, that works too. That's fine. That means the calculator did that one. Did the 55 minus 71 for you. It's no big deal. Which one, Jacqueline? Do you know which number you're looking at? It was -7 and -1. Okay. We could solve this one by simply subtracting the 55 from both sides. And then we could divide by 4. And that gives us s squared is 4. Take the square root of both sides, and s is positive or -2 because 2 squared is 4 and -2 squared is 4. So both of those answers work there. That is called solving by square roots. This one is also an easily factored one if you know how to do difference of squares. Okay, we're sitting right at about the halfway point on this assignment. Does anyone need any questions answered for right now? Are we good so far? Are we ready to keep going? Because we're about halfway through on this practice. All right. So we have w squared equals 49. I'm going to give you about a minute and just see what you make of this problem. You can put the answers in, be ready to enter them in chat when you're done. When the timer goes off, if you have an answer, choose your strategy and see what you come up with. Don't forget you can use the graph, you can solve by square roots, you can solve by factoring if you've been practicing the factoring lessons. Again, graphing is the easiest. Most of the time, this one I wouldn't use a graph for, personally. All right, we got 15 seconds left. See what you come up with. And remember, this is not a particularly graded assignment. We are just getting some time in and we are practicing our skills. You can't get better if you don't occasionally get it wrong. Okay, if you have an answer, go ahead and hit enter. If you said the answers are positive and -7, congratulations. You are correct. And what I would personally do is I would do this one by square roots, simply because these are both perfect squares. So what I would do is take the square root of both sides, and I get w equals positive or -7, and that is again because +7 squared is 49, and -7 squared is 49. However, if you rewrote it in standard form and got x squared minus 49 equals 0 and graphed it, you would get the same answer. Okay. You get +7 and -7. All right, now this one's a little more challenging. So I'm going to give you a minute. And if you get it right, you get it right. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. It's just practice. But I am going to give you a minute and a half because this one does take a little bit more thought. So I'll give you a moment. Give it a shot. See what you come up with. You have about 40 more seconds. Twenty seconds. All right. If you have an answer ready to type into chat, go ahead and type it and go ahead and hit enter right now. -3/10 and +3/10. Okay. That does seem rounded. That's pretty close, actually. All right. So this one, again, is a little weird because you will get a fraction. And sometimes the fractions are a pain. All right. So if you went with the graphing strategy, you went 72x squared, and then you subtracted 8 from both sides to get this of 72x squared minus 8. You're going to get 0.333 repeating and -0.33333 repeating. If you try to get Desmos to give you that as a fraction, it's going to be pretty tough. But I will tell you a trick is if you see the exact same number, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, etc., it's that number over 9. All right. Negative 0.1, 0.3 repeating and 0.3 repeating are actually 1 over 3, which is really close to 3 over 10. Okay. Because if I put in this, no matter how often I do it, it's going to be hard to put into a fraction. Okay. But if I put 3 over 9 into decimal, I can get a fraction. All right. So this is actually positive 1 over 3 and negative 1 over 3. If you were solving this in a different strategy, you could do 72d squared equals 8. Divide both sides by 72. And you get d squared is equal to 1 over 9. Take the square root of both sides, and d is positive or negative 1 over 3. Okay. All right, so we have 4y squared plus 48y plus 80 equals 0. But this is not standard form of a quadratic. What variable do we need to change the y into for this one? Should we leave it as y, or should we change it? I would change it to x, yes. So we have 4x squared plus 48x plus 80 equals 0. And I'm going to give you, from there, I'm going to give you a minute to determine the answer. You have about 10 seconds left. All right, go ahead and hit enter on your answer. If you got -2 and -10, you are correct. That should be the correct answer. So let's put 4x squared plus 48x plus 80 into our calculator. Click on the graph and we get -2 and -10. -2, or well, 10 comes first. -10, -2. All right. Whether it likes my formatting or not, we know those are the correct answers. All right. I'm going to give you about a minute to determine the answer to this one. We have k squared plus 12k plus 11 equals 0. What are the values of k? You have about a minute, and then you can put your answers in the chat. Three, two, one. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. Negative 11 and negative 1. Sounds right. Let's look. I did it last class, so don't forget. X squared plus 12x plus 11. Okay. Negative 1 and negative 11. So again, you could graph it. Again, make sure you're changing them to x's if you didn't already. So I'm going to put this here. So we had x squared plus 12x. If you were familiar with factoring, you would be able to find that this is x plus 11 times x plus 1. And then you could use the zero product property there if you factored it. All right, number 11. I'm going to give you a minute because this one's already in standard form for you, so you should be able to graph it. If you're factoring it, that's how you would start it. Three, two, one. Enter if you put an answer for the chat. Beautiful. Good job, Riley. Got negative 1 over 5 and negative 1. Perfect. Again, if you graphed it, when it's not in standard form, most people have trouble. That's okay. Especially because you have to change it to out of standard form or into standard form if you want to graph it. But only works for quadratics. All right, so we can see again on the graph, the answers were negative 0.2 and negative 1. Negative 0.2 is the same as negative 1/5. If we were doing zero product, it would factor to 5x plus 1 times x plus 1, all times 2. And we can still do this by hand. All right, number 12, we're almost done, guys. This one, I want you guys to do this one with me because this one is a little bit weird because of what the answer actually seems to be. All right, so if you do it in the calculator, you're going to get something like 29,000 or 2,907 over some random number, okay? So here's what I would do in this one. First of all, this one needs to be done with zero product property. We could see that both these terms have an x, so I'm going to take out an x, and they're both divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. And this is going to have 2x on the outside, okay? 86 divided x squared divided by 2x is 43x. 50x divided by 2x is 25. All right. If we want to make sure we graphed this or we did this factoring correctly, what we can do is plug it into our calculator here. 86x squared plus 50x. Oop, not 501, 50. And then again, try it here. 2x times 43x plus 25. We can see they overlap, so that means we did our. Okay. set each part equal to 0. So we've got 2x equals 0, easy enough. All right, so x is 0. And we can see that in the graph. But we can see this one right here. We get negative 0.5814. It does not, that's a rounded number, okay? Okay, so if we were to set this equal to 0, we'd have 43x is equal to negative 25 divided by 43. And so for a precise answer, it should be negative 25 over 43. Right? If it marks it wrong, it marks it wrong. Don't fret. I'm not going to hold it against you, but this is the actual correct answer. We have one more in IXL and then the exit ticket. Right? There should be one answer to this one. This one is a perfect square. So I'm going to give you, for the previous one, this is the answer. 0, comma, negative 25 over 43. Those are the answers. Nothing on your quiz is going to be this weird. And I don't think STAR would bother with something this weird either. But that's a very weird answer, okay? All right, I'm going to give you guys 1 minute. Actually, I'll give him, 1 minute. And I want you to solve for P when 9p squared minus 48p plus 64 is equal to 0. You got about 20 more seconds. All right, what is the answer? We only have one. All right, so 13 over 5. It's, let me see how close that is. I'm curious. 2.6, that's pretty close. So whenever, again, if you see this is going to always end up being over a 3 at some point. So 2.6666666666666666 is 2 2/3, which is actually 8 over 3. But if you came up with 13 over 5, I would be satisfied because that means you can see what you're doing in the calculator. I think it's 8 over 3. Yeah, 8 over 3. Okay, and there's only one solution because this is what we call a perfect square. One of the reasons I know it's 8 over 3, also, yes, 8 over 3, is that since this is a perfect square, it factors to 3x plus, minus Jacqueline, I'll go back in just a moment and look at that. All right, let me go ahead and get this in so we can do the exit ticket. Keep reviewing because we want to go back to number 11. Negative 1 over 5 and negative 1 was the answer to number 11. Because it was 2.666666666666666666. That's the same as 2 plus 6 over 9 because it is 6 repeated forever. Okay, you can see that. But if I do it here, it'll give me a fraction of 8 over 3. Okay, it's kind of crazy on those decimals. So we're doing our best on those. Okay, so if it's not being crazy, it might be it might be an issue with they might not have liked how we put in an answer. Don't even stress it. Whatever they got you as a score, if you put in what I put in and you're sure you put in what I put in, then you got the answers right and it doesn't matter. All right. So let's go ahead and do the exit ticket. There is a additional practice available. It will be posted. Here's your exit ticket, and when you are done with it, you may sign out. What is the positive solution to x squared minus 9x minus 22 equals 0? I'd write on the screen, but then it would stop doing it, so. Oh, it's okay, Andrew. I didn't even see it. I mean, I'm not looking and seeing who's clicking on what yet. So I like that 10 of you have actually answered C. Awesome. Good job, guys. If you answered C, congratulations. That is the correct answer. Awesome, guys. Awesome. So let me show you how this is the answer to C, just so you see it. Oops. X squared minus 9x minus 22. And we wanted the positive solution, and it was 11. So good job, guys. All right. So you may go ahead and sign out if you are done. Oh, how do you do it by hand? You want to know how to do it by hand? I can do it by hand. Oops. That's not right. Sure. Couple ways. One, you could do the quadratic formula, but I'm not going to do that one right now because that's not how I did it. What I did was I actually factored this. I like to solve by factoring whenever possible. So what you do is you look at the number negative 22 and you think about the numbers that can be used to give you 22. And it's going to be 2 and 11. And we want negative 11. Bye, Riley. See you at 2:30. We do have the 2:30 session today, yes. So this factors to x plus 2, x minus 11. Okay. And then I would do the zero product property. So I put plus 2 equals 0, x minus 11 equals 0. And so x is negative 2 and x is positive 11. This one you would have to practice with because this is one of the strategies that I had to do all of this by hand when I was your age. When I was your age, we weren't able to use calculators on our EOC test, our end of course exam. So we had to factor everything by hand. Yeah, it's fine if you like math. So like